Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High Power Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Makar Kadash, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahushai. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutation to all the Akim that is doing the work in sincerity and charity with humiliation all across the four winds. To you I salute. This is the brother Yahshua Amba from the GMS of Bahamas Camp. I'm back at you with a brief lesson. Now, we know amidst all these things what's happening, the race wars, C-19, wars and rumors of wars. A lot of these news stations, they send out a lot of false news and a bunch of rhetoric, right? But I just happened upon this little excerpt here from, this guy on Fox News, Tucker. It's titled "The Rise of Left-Wing Rage Mobs in America." Now, as I was watching through this, I happened upon this little excerpt here, right? Now, the person that wrote this article, it's a black transgender male, right? Now, what he said, it was interesting because 3 years ago, I understand that he lost his job for writing this. But now he got his job back, right? But let's play a little piece of the clip so you can understand what I'm saying, right? Because all these things are scriptural, and Esau trying to run from his from the things what he did, But let's play the clip.
Had worked at L'Oreal before. If you follow fashion, you know that, but got fired.
And that's the on the right hand side, that's the transgender male right there who got fired from L'Oreal, the article says. You see, now let's bear in mind when we're watching this, you see the headline on there. It says ideas that harm all of us are growing in power. Ideas that harms Esau is growing in power.
Fired 3 years ago for writing this specifically addressed to white people. We're going to quote from it. Quote, "Your existence, privilege, and success as a race is built on the backs, blood, and death of people of color. Your entire existence is drenched in racism."
God, you see what that guy wrote? He says, your existence, he's speaking to so-called white people, to Esau, right? The guy wrote, your existence, privilege, and success as a race is built on the backs, blood, and death of people of color. Your entire existence is drenched in racism. Where's the lie? Honestly, where's the lie? Because Babylon the Great, America, was built on blood and death of people of color, of people who were taken there, put into slavery, But let's get a biblical account of that, right? Because when you going back to Esau and Jacob, where Esau swear to kill his brother Jacob when their father died. Esau came out red. You see, that it was a conflict there. But let's bring out the scripture to prove that, right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 27 and 41. Right? It says here, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob. Right? Even now, Esau hate us. And you know why they hate us? Because they see the God in us. They see the Most High in us. They see the blessing of the Most High within us. So they hate us. They were blessed with the sword. Who better than them at hunting? Who better than them at killing? And that's why they hate us. You see? They man. If we move a bit further up in history, right? Let's use Christopher Columbus, for example. The man basically fathered the slave trade, right? This man fathered the slave trade. Let's pull up an article with that, right? All right, right there. The title of this one: Columbus was a mass killer and the father of the slave trade. Right? If you read down here, let's pick it up here. It says, Christopher Columbus was an immensely talented mariner who navigated the Santa Maria and two other smaller ships across the Atlantic Ocean in search of Asia. However, he and his crew inadvertently arrived in the New World on October 12, 1492. Their long and arduous journey was driven by one clear objective: to find and establish a long-term source of wealth, preferably gold, for the King and Queen of Spain. You hear that shit? They searching out to find these things, to find wealth, to find vanity, right? In return, Columbus would be allotted 10% of the profits, governorship over Newfoundland, and awarded the prestigious title of Admiral of the Ocean Sea. Upon arriving in the islands, which we now refer to as the Bahamas, Columbus and his crew first encountered the Arawaks, and we know the Arawaks were dark-skinned people. It was at that fateful juncture in human history that he made two keen observations regarding these indigenous people. But just for edification's sake, right, let's pull up who the Arawaks are. Right? Because here in the Bahamas, these were the natives that were here. You see that these who the Arawaks were. Dark-skinned people. You see? These who the Arawaks were. Look like the tribe of God. Get a Benjamin in there. You know? But this was who the Arawaks were, right? Let's go back now. It says here, it was at that fateful junction in human history that he made two keen observations regarding these indigenous people. Firstly, they were docile and trusting in nature. And secondly, they wore gold jewelry. Columbus's own words from his personal journal captured the ominous fate that awaited the Arawaks. You see, that's what Esau does. He scope out the land, he found what's what. If you ain't a threat to them, if you trust in nature, they take advantage of that. That's why scripture tells you trust not thine enemy. Though he comes speaking humbly, don't fucking trust them. Boy. It says here, this is what Columbus wrote inside his journal. He say, they do not bear arms and do not know them. For I showed them a sword, they took it by the edge and cut themselves out of ignorance. But you see, history have the Arawaks out to be these savages. They had the Arawaks out to be these non-civilized, poor, living in huts and tents and, having them to be uncivilized people and having them to be savages, when in actuality they didn't even know what a sword was. You see? Because when Columbus go in there, it says here, they take the sword over by the edge and cut themselves out of ignorance. Because they didn't know, they didn't have no weapons of war. That's what Esau does. They have no iron. Esau blessing is the sword. Swords are made out of iron, right? The spears are made of cane. They're made of cane because that was their hunting tools. They didn't use it to fight against each other with. They would make fine servants. With 50 men, we could subjugate them all and make them do whatever we want. So he come there, he found the people living peacefully, and all in his mind is he want to make these people slaves. You see that shit? But yet they say, Esau saying their entire existence is not built on racism. Their entire existence drenched on racism all the way from there, right? Let's get one more account, right? Let's get one more account. Let's go up. Let's think of Willie Lynch, right? This man, he wrote a book, right? The infamous Willie Lynch letter. I advise you all can check out that book, man. I got a lot of meat inside it. But man, it we know Esau's wicked. But this right here, oh man, this is a whole nother level of wicked, right? Let's jump up here. It says, your invitation reached me on my this Willie Lynch speaking, where I've experimented some of the newest and still the oldest methods for control of slaves, right? This man teaching you how to control slaves, right? It says, ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented. And we know who ancient Rome is, right? Scriptural. Babylon the Great, right? Modern day America. Ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented. As our boat sails south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish. Now, some may read that and say, well, oh, you're reading from the King James Version and it's written by them. Yeah, it was written by them. Name one book that wasn't written by man, right? It was written by them, but the understanding was given unto us, Israel. You see? Yeah, they wrote the Bible, but it was unlocked to us. You see? It says here, I saw, that's like, if we Salakia, if we put that in a different form, Apple and Samsung make the phones, right? And they sell it to us. We buy it, right? And what we do with the phone, it's up to us to find what that phone does. You see? But in this sense, when it comes to this truth, they wrote the book, but the Most High put it within our spirits to unlock the truth of the book. It says, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its highways in great numbers, they talking about crucifixion right there. So you know this man referencing the Bible. You are here using the tree and the rope on occasions. They're talking about lynching, hanging jakes on the tree. So they took on the customs of ancient Rome. That's how we know Babylon the Great is the modern day Roman Empire, right? It says here, I caught the whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple miles back. You are not only losing valuable stock by hangings, you are having uprisings. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You see that? You hear the shit what he talking? Uprisings, you know. And what they do when the uprisings came back then, they kill the slaves. You suffer occasional fires, your animals are killed. You call them gentlemen, but they the real savages, boy. Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I am not here to enumerate your problems. I am here to introduce you to a method of solving them in my bag here. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. So how the hell could Esau say? How could they deny that their entire existence is not drenched on racism when they have books on top of books talking about it? From ancient times, Jacob and Esau, to Israel being a slave in Egypt, to even our modern day times, well, to Willie and Schneider, and even to our current times with our police brutality. You know, the whole premise behind this Black Lives Matter. You see, which we know is another form of rhetoric, but again, it's still the same. You see, police brutality. So now, let's go back to our article, right? Let's listen to some more of this.
Racism isn't learned, it's inherited, and consciously or unconsciously passed down through privilege.
Racism isn't learned, it's inherited. Where's the lie? You see? Where's the lie? Racism is inherited, unconsciously or unconsciously passed down through privilege. Because, you know, the old saying, white is right. Come on, man. From I been small, I been hearing that mantra. You see, from I been small, I been seeing, well, you're treated different because of the color of your skin. Consciously and unconsciously. That's something what used to be on your mind from your being small. It was something that you didn't really think about, but you understood. You see, you don't when you see it happen, you don't ask. You rarely ask why, because you ask why so many times and the answer still remains the same: skin color. So then it became to a point where, okay, then I understand. You see, and that happened over years and years of it happening. Racism is inherited. Now let's get a scripture proving that, right? Let's go to the book of Let's get the book of Exodus 17 and 16, right? It says here, for he said, because Yahweh had sworn that the Most High will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. And we know the bloodline of Amalek goes back to Esau, Edom, right? Now, if you want to know more about that, the brother Yashawan from the JMS Farmers Camp, he did a beautiful lesson explaining the bloodline of Amalek and the Amalekites, right? You could go check that out. You see, but the point I want to make is, the Most High would have war with Amalek from generation to generation. So that means with him, with his sons, with his sons, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth. You see, the Most High have a perpetual hatred for Esau. You see? Let's get a Genesis 27. Alright, let's get verse 40. It says, and by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Right? This was Esau's blessing. That followed him from time on and time on. You see, because his blessing still is the sword. You see? And we ain't coming to that part where he's serving us yet. So that prophecy is yet to be fulfilled. You see? So these things were passed on generation to generation. Let's get Exodus 17 and 16. It says, for he said, because Yahweh had sworn, again, will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. You see? No, that ain't the precept what I wanted. Exodus 34 and 7. Salakia. Says here, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and upon the children's children, unto the third and to the fourth generation. So when the Most High deal with these things, he don't just deal with that one person. He deals with that, when it concerning the other nations. He deals with that generation to generation. You see, the sins are inherited. Racism is inherited. The sins are inherited. The sins of the father are inherited. You see? Now, that's not to be confused with what is said in Ezekiel chapter 18, right? Because some may say, well, the Bible say whoever sin, the sin fall on them, the sin of the father don't fall on the children no more. You're partially correct. You actually is true. But who is that for? But let's bring that out. Ezekiel 18 and 20 says, the soul that sinneth, it shall die. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father, neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. Right? Now let's use that, who he said that to. Right here. Ezekiel 18 and 1. The word of Yahweh came unto me again, saying, what mean ye, that ye use the proverb concerning the land of Israel, saying, the fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. The sins of the father fall on the children, right? Now watch this. As I live, said Yahweh power, ye shall not have occasion anymore to use this proverb in Israel. You see that? In Israel. That's who is this speaking to, you know. This who this whole thing is speaking of. When it says here, in verse 18, as for his father, because he cruelly oppressed, spoiled his brother by violence, and did that which is not good among his people, lo, even he shall die in his iniquity, as if the father sinned. In verse 19, yet say ye, why? That not the son bear the iniquity of the father? When the son had done that which is lawful and right, and had kept all my statutes, and had done them, he shall surely live. You see that? The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father. That's talking about Israel. That ain't talking about Esau. Esau cannot be saved. The Most High ain't dealing with them. Alright? Romans 9 and 13 tells you that, but for edification's sake, let's get that precept. Romans 9 and 13. See ya? As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Alright? Let's get another one. Let's get 2nd Esdras. Chapter 6 and 9. See ya? For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. You see that? The Most High ain't dealing with Esau, but he ain't down with them. So yes, racism is inherited. Your hatred for Jacob is inherited. So your sins are inherited, Esau.
Once white people begin to admit that their race is the most violent and oppressive force of nature on earth, then we can talk.
Where's the lie? Who is going other people's land and take over and do what they want? Who is going other people's land and make sanctions? Who is going other people's land and build military bases? Huh? Come on, man. You see, you guys violent from way back when, from the beginning of time, from time on end. Y'all been perpetually wicked. Y'all been violent. From Jacob, from Esau wanted to slew Jacob. That hatred been there. You see? And they wouldn't. See, they've started to admit it now, going back to the precept, never trust thine enemy, though they come humbly, right? They may admit it now, but the minute they have occasion to do so, they would slit your fucking throat. You see? They oppressive. They oppress the other nations. But now, the other nations are rising up against it. Not only the nation of Israel, not only the so-called blacks, Negroes, Native Americans, Latinos, Levites, even the other nations coming up against them, Russia, China, South America, the EU, the European Union, all them coming up against Esau, Edom. You see?
End quote. Now, Monroe Bergdorf got canned for writing that. L'Oreal announced that crackpot racial theories were contrary to, quote, diversity and tolerance toward all.
And it's amazing how you decide to use a black transgender male, right? This particular one. It's amazing how they decided to use this one. Well, he was the one that wrote it, but, I'm sure a lot of other people out there said a similar thing.
All people, irrespective of their race. That, of course, is true. Or it was true. It's not true anymore, apparently, at least now at L'Oreal. L'Oreal has apologized for ever supporting tolerance and diversity.
So now all these big names, in order to save face with the so-called black community, because, the so-called black community is the biggest buyers with these big companies. So if they decide to boycott them, all of them can go bankrupt. They know that they need the so-called black, the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, they need them to buy their stuff. So anybody coming up against the vibe right now, anybody coming up against, this BLM, they can side with it. So that's why they going right there and hire this dude because he black and because he transgender. So now they get two different manner of people. They trying to get the colors back, and they trying to get, the LGBT to side with them also. So they trying to save face on both sides. We ain't ignorant of your devices, Esau.
And has now rehired Bergdorf. The idea that racism can be inherited and passed down is now consistent with L'Oreal's Black Lives Matter inspired HR policies. Some employees there must be worried. We should all be worried.
See now, what the headline turned to, no child is born evil and sin cannot be inherited. Really, bro? Scripture just broke down all of that. You know, Esau, man, sin cannot be inherited. Yeah, man. Sin is inherited. Y'all just refuse to admit it. Y'all perpetually wicked by Esau.
This is terrifying. We should fight against sweeping racial attacks like this with everything we have, not because we're sympathetic to the specific group.
Anything dealing with the truth, they don't want to hear it. The elder Manatazak did a beautiful lesson the other day. Speaking on that. One of the other Akim brought it to his attention. We live in a fake world. Fake people, fake news, fake food, fake medicine, fake ideas. Everything fake, man. Even the truth, even their truth is fake. You see? Only the truth of the Most High power stands true. In all righteousness, the truth is righteous,
They're going after, but because it is wrong, always, no matter what, no matter who the target is. No child is born evil. Sin cannot be inherited. That's
what you think.
It's insane. Certain racial groups are not morally superior to other racial groups. And
Scripture clearly says Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the one that follow it. So what that telling you? And the nation of Israel is always considered higher than any other nation. But because of our stiff-neckedness, the Most High put us in this captivity and in this slavery. But when he returns, the captivity and the slavery will be over and Esau will get what is coming to them. But with that, I want to give all praises to the Most High Power, Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Makar, Kadash, Barakatam, and Abad, Babal, Kuham, Yashuralo.